You ever feel like every travel video shows you the same 5 places, the same airports, the same rooftop bars? And somehow, after watching hours of travel content, you still don't feel like you've actually seen anything. That feeling disappears the second you land in Kenya. This is the country where over 1 million wildebeest, sometimes closer to 2 million, move across open plains every year in one of the most staggering natural events on the planet, while lions, cheetahs, and crocodiles work every angle of the route. Where you can sleep in a treehouse and watch rhinos walk past your window at 3 a.m. like it's nothing. Where ancient Swahili port cities sit on the same coastline as some of the cleanest coral reefs in the Indian Ocean. 14 places. 14 completely different sides of one country. I went so you know exactly what to expect. And nothing I say is gonna fully prepare you. Let's go. Top Tier Travels presents Kenya. 14 places. Every reason the whole world keeps showing up. I'm Finn Lee. I've burned through more passport pages than I'd like to admit, and Kenya still caught me off guard. I went in expecting the highlight reel. What I got was something I'm still not done processing. Let's get into it. Number 1. Mombasa. First stop, Mombasa. Kenya's second city, right on the Indian Ocean coast, and the second you land, you feel something shift. The air is heavier, the architecture is older, and the whole pace runs on a different clock from anywhere else in East Africa. This city spent centuries as one of the Indian Ocean's most critical trading hubs, connecting the African interior to the Middle East, India, and Persia, and that history is still completely alive here. Swahili culture developed right on these streets, a blend of Bantu, Arabic, and other influences fused together over generations of trade and exchange. Walk through the old town and you can read every layer of it in the carved wooden doors, the narrow alleyways, and the spice markets still running exactly the way they did centuries ago. Fort Jesus is the centerpiece, a Portuguese fortress from 1593, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site sitting right on the waterfront. The museum inside pulls no punches about the colonial period and the slave trade that moved through this port. It's the kind of history you feel in your chest, not just your head. And then there's the food, Swahili, Indian, and Arabic all colliding on one plate. Biryani perfected over generations, grilled coastal seafood pulled from the Indian Ocean that morning. I ran out of time before I ran out of things to eat. If that's how the first stop hits, buckle up because it only gets wilder. Number 2. Masai Mara National Reserve. Located in southwestern Kenya, the Mara covers about 1,500 square kilometers of open savanna and riverine forest, and it is, by every measure, one of the most significant wildlife ecosystems on Earth. The Great Migration is the reason most of the world has heard of the Mara. Over 1 million wildebeest, sometimes closer to 2 million, plus hundreds of thousands of zebras, make an annual circuit between the Serengeti and the Mara. The plains literally move. The sheer volume of animals reaching the Mara River, it rewires something in your brain you can't put back the way it was. Crocodiles the size of cars wait in the water. Lions and cheetahs hold the far bank. I sat at a crossing point for 4 hours one morning. 4 hours of nothing, the herd building on the bank, the crocodiles holding position in the water below. And then the 40 minutes after they finally committed to crossing were the most intense wildlife experience of my entire life. I caught a hot air balloon at sunrise over the savannah the next morning. The entire plane was moving below me in every direction. I didn't say a word the whole flight, couldn't. Lion prides in the morning, leopards at dusk, elephant herds with cabs crossing the grassland. The Mara doesn't go quiet between July and October, it just shifts gears. July through October is the migration window. That's when you get the river crossings. Book 3 nights minimum. 2 nights means you'll barely arrive before you're leaving. Don't book a single-day tour from Nairobi. It's a 5 to 6 hour drive each way and you'll see almost nothing. Fly from Wilson Airport in Nairobi, 45 minutes, done. Budget camps run from $150 a night, luxury lodges go up to $2,000. The sunrise balloon costs $450 to $550 per person. Number 3. Lake Elementaita. Lake Elementaita, Great Rift Valley. UNESCO World Heritage listed as part of the Kenya Lake System and one of the most overlooked stops on any Kenya itinerary. This is a soda lake, shallow, alkaline, mineral-rich, and those exact conditions make it one of the most important bird habitats in East Africa. Thousands of lesser flamingos wade through the water searching for algae, and at golden hour, the whole lake turns deep rose pink in a way that looks almost painted. Pelicans, African spoonbills, over 400 bird species at this single lake. I showed up expecting an hour. I stayed until the light was gone and still felt like I'd left too early. The Samburu Conservancy along the eastern bank adds giraffes, grevy's zebras, and waterbuck, all moving through grassland with the lake shimmering behind them. What makes Elementaita special is the scale. Intimate, quiet, no convoy of safari vehicles. You've got space and time to actually sit with what's in front of you. Golden hour on the eastern bank is one of the most peaceful hours I spent in Kenya. That light on that water with those birds, I'm glad nobody was talking. Flamingo numbers peak in the dry seasons, January through February and June through September. Entry is minimal. Guest houses nearby run $30 to $80 a night. Get there for sunrise on the Samburu side. You'll have the water line to yourself, and the flamingo activity is highest in the early morning. Half day is enough. Full day if you're a birder. Number 4. Nairobi, Kenya's capital, East Africa's largest city, and a place most international travelers either skip or treat as a 5-hour layover before the coast. That's a real mistake, and honestly, it drives me a little crazy every time I hear it. Nairobi National Park, a full national park inside the capital city. Lions, cheetahs, giraffes, zebras, Cape buffalo, and critically endangered black rhinos, roaming through savanna grassland with the city skyline right behind them. The only national park on Earth located within a capital, and the wildlife density is legitimate. This is not a zoo. It's a functioning ecosystem minutes from downtown. The David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust rescues orphaned baby elephants and rehabilitates them back to the wild. Over 250 elephants successfully reintegrated into the wild. That's conservation that actually works. The Nairobi Railway Museum tells the origin story of the city through the Uganda Railway. The project so dangerous it was called the Lunatic Line. Nairobi runs year-round. Avoid April and May if you can. The long rains make roads difficult. 2 to 3 days minimum. Jomo Kenyatta is a major East African hub with direct flights everywhere. National Park entry runs $60 for non-residents. Worth it. Number 5. Aberdare National Park. The one that caught me the most off guard. When most people picture Kenya, they picture flat savanna, dust, wide-open horizons. The Aberdare mountain range in the Central Highlands gives you none of that, and it's extraordinary for exactly that reason. Misty cloud forest, dense canopy, cascading waterfalls, temperatures cool enough to need a jacket at night, elevation up to 4,000 meters. Elephants move through the forest in ways you don't expect. You hear them crashing through undergrowth before you see them, and then a 5-ton animal materializes 15 meters away in the mist. Leopards work the tree canopy. The rare bongo antelope, one of Africa's most beautiful forest species, is present here in numbers that don't exist anywhere else on the continent. Over 250 bird species, including the endangered Aberdare cisticola and African crowned eagle. But here's the move almost every itinerary misses: the tree hotels. The Ark Lodge sits directly above a waterhole inside the park. You check in, you wait. Dry seasons, January through February and June through October, for best waterhole activity and clearer forest views. About 2.5 hours from Nairobi. The Ark runs around $200 a night, all-inclusive. Book 2 nights minimum, One night rarely catches the full waterhole action. Book the arc over treetops. Bigger waterhole, better viewing deck, more consistent wildlife activity. Bring warm layers. It genuinely gets cold up there at night. Number 6. Diani Beach. Diani Beach, 30 kilometers south of Mombasa, consistently ranked one of the best beaches in Africa, not just Kenya, the continent, and it earns that every single time. Powdery white coral sand, turquoise water clear enough to read the coral from the surface, palm trees thick enough for real shade, sea turtles feeding on the reef year-round, dolphins that approach the boat out of pure curiosity, whale sharks during the right season, coral gardens packed with more life than you can catalog in a single dive. Snorkel here, and you'll be irritated at every other ocean you've ever swum in. Kite surfing and windsurfing are world-class here. The southeast trade winds are consistent, the water inside the reef is flat, and there are solid schools on the beach if you've never tried either. The Colobus Conservation Center protects endangered Angola colobus monkeys native to this coastal strip, dramatically black and white, long-tailed, genuinely striking animals. You'll spot them in the canopy above the beach before you've even checked in. December through March and June through September are the dry seasons. Lower humidity, calmer seas, better snorkeling visibility. Fly into Ukunda airstrip from Nairobi, about an hour. Or take the ferry from Mombasa plus a matatu. Avoid the Likoni crossing on weekday rush hours. The queue is brutal. The Kasite Mpunguti snorkel trip runs $40 to $60 per person, including the boat. Do it. Budget guest houses from $20 a night, mid-range $80 to $150, 3 to 5 days minimum. Number 7. Loitoktok. Loitoktok, a small town in Kajiado County in southern Kenya, right on the Tanzanian border, and almost no one outside Kenya has heard of it. That's the entire point. Mount Kilimanjaro is technically in Tanzania, but Loitoktok sits so close to the border that the mountain completely dominates the horizon. At sunrise, when the light first catches the snowcap and the clouds haven't yet formed around the upper peak, you're looking at Africa's highest point, filling your entire field of vision from a town that costs a fraction of what the Tanzania safari circuit charges. The area is deep Masai territory, red shukas, elaborate beaded jewelry, cattle herding practices unchanged for generations. Local villages welcome visitors, and spending real time with a Masai community here, learning the traditions, watching the livestock management, is grounding in a way that's hard to articulate. It's not a performance for tourists, it's daily life. The Kamana Sanctuary just outside town puts elephants, giraffes, zebras, and lions in front of that Kilimanjaro backdrop. The coffee farms in the surrounding hills offer tours and tastings. Kenyan Highland coffee at the source, Kilimanjaro behind you, 5:30 in the morning. That's a specific kind of perfect that's hard to find anywhere else. January through February and June through September for the clearest Kilimanjaro views. Cloud cover builds fast as the day heats up, so sunrise or nothing. 4 to 5 hour drive from Nairobi via Amali. One of the cheapest stops in Kenya. Very low cost of living, budget accommodation, local food. Number 8. Samburu National Reserve. Samburu National Reserve, northern Kenya, 300 kilometers north of Nairobi, far off the main circuit and worth every kilometer of the drive. The landscape up here is semi-arid and rugged. Acacia trees, doom palms, volcanic rocky outcrops, the Ewaso Nyiro River cutting through like a lifeline, visually unlike anything in the south. Samburu is famous for the special five species you will not find in the major southern reserves. The reticulated giraffe, coat so precisely patterned it looks hand-painted. The Grevy's zebra, larger than common zebras with narrow stripes and rounded ears. The Somali ostrich, males with blue legs during breeding season. The Besa oryx, long-horned and elegant. And the gerenuk, a long-necked antelope that stands fully upright on its hind legs to browse high branches, which looks physically impossible until you're watching it happen. The Iwaso-Nyiro River is the pulse of the reserve. Elephants crossing at dawn, crocodiles banking in the heat. Over 450 bird species recorded along the water. Game drives here are quieter than the famous parks. Less convoy traffic, more space, more time at each sighting. Samburu is what people tell themselves they'll find everywhere in Kenya. Most never push far enough north to actually get it. Number 9. Lake Bogoria. I'm going to describe something that sounds made up. An alkaline lake in the Great Rift Valley. Along the banks, literally along the banks, geysers and hot springs push steam and scalding water into the air at temperatures approaching 100 degrees Celsius. The ground around them is mineral-stained and surreal. And surrounding all of that, thousands of flamingos. Lesser and greater flamingos both, wading through the alkaline shallows, totally unbothered by the geysers 20 meters away. Pink birds, boiling water, steam columns rising. I have been to a lot of places on this planet. I have genuinely never seen anything that looked quite like this. The geothermal features themselves are extraordinary. Some hot springs feed channels running right to the lake edge, and the contrast of scalding outflow meeting cooler alkaline water creates this otherworldly visual you just stand and stare at. Lake Bogoria is listed as a Ramsar wetland of international importance, fully separate from the UNESCO listing at Lake Elementaita, and both earned. Lake Bogoria ends up being the shot everyone asks about when you get home. August through March for the highest flamingo concentrations. Numbers shift seasonally based on algae growth. 3 to 4 hour drive from Nairobi via Nakuru. Entry runs around $20 for non-residents. Basic guest houses in nearby Marigat. Half day is enough. Number 10. Laikipia. Laikipia, central Kenya highlands, north of Mount Kenya, covering nearly 10,000 square kilometers of plateau grassland and riverine forest. One of the most important wildlife conservation regions on the continent, and one of the most misunderstood. Here's what makes Laikipia different. The Mara, Amboseli, Tsavo are government national parks. Laikipia runs on private and community conservancies, Olpejeta, Lewa, Barana, Mugie. Landholders who committed their land to wildlife rather than agriculture. The result is one of the largest functional wildlife corridors in East Africa, and the diversity reflects that. African wild dogs, one of the most endangered predators on the continent, are present. Black rhino density is the highest in East Africa outside South Africa. Elephants, lions, leopards, cheetahs, all active across the conservancies. And then there's Olpejeta, home to the last 2 northern white rhinos on Earth. Not in Kenya, on Earth. Najin and Fatu, both female. The last male, Sudan, died in March 2018. Horseback safaris, camel trekking, night game drives, guided walks at ground level. Laikipia does things other reserves don't even offer. Year-round, though drier months give better game viewing. 3.5 hours from Nairobi by road, or fly to Nanyuki airstrip in 45 minutes. Olpejeta entry runs $80 a day. The northern white rhino encounter is $70 on top of that. Worth every cent. Budget camps from $100 a night, mid-range up to $400. Book 2 to 3 days. Night game drives here are exceptional and only available at select conservancies. Don't skip them. Number 11. Watamu, a small coastal village 120 kilometers north of Mombasa. Quiet, beautiful, and running one of the best marine ecosystems in East Africa without making noise about it. Watamu Marine National Park was established in 1968, one of Kenya's oldest marine protected areas, and the reef system inside it is among the most intact on the entire East African coast. Sea turtles nest on Watamu Beach and feed on the reef year-round. Dolphins are regular visitors. Whale sharks cruise through during the right season, and zero engine noise anywhere. One of the most peaceful hours I spent in Kenya, and I didn't expect that from a beach destination. October through March, calm seas, best underwater visibility. Fly to Malindi Airport, 30 minutes from Watamu, or 1.5 hours by road from Mombasa. Guest houses from $25 to $60 a night. Snorkeling trips run $20 to $40 per person.
The Mita Creek kayak at low tide runs $15 to $20. No crowds, extraordinary bird life, genuinely one of the best value experiences in Kenya.
Number 12. Taita Hills. Taita Hills, southeastern Kenya, Taita Taveta County, one of the oldest and most biodiverse mountain ecosystems on the continent. The Taita Hills form part of the Eastern Arc Mountains, a chain geologists estimate to be over 100 million years old, isolated long enough and stable enough climatically that they've developed extraordinary levels of endemism. Species that evolved here and exist nowhere else on Earth. The cloud forests covering the upper slopes are recognized globally as a biodiversity hotspot. Over 600 plant species, many found only here. The Taita apalis, critically endangered, found only in these forests. The Taita thrush, same story. The Taita falcon, nesting in the cliff faces. These aren't species you'll find across Africa. These are Taita Hills only, and losing these forests means losing them permanently. Over 60 endemic and near-endemic species in total, this is one of the most important conservation landscapes in East Africa. I hiked into those cloud forests expecting not much, arrived in the late morning when mist was still sitting on the canopy, and came out 2 hours later genuinely restructured by what I'd seen and heard. The quiet up there is a specific kind: birdsong, wind, water moving through undergrowth, nothing else. The Taita Hills Wildlife Sanctuary below the forest adds elephants, buffaloes, and sweeping views toward Kilimanjaro on clear days. Most of the world hasn't found this yet. That's exactly its power right now. June through October, dry season, clearest forest visibility, best birding conditions. 5 to 6 hour drive from Nairobi via Voi, or fly into Moi International in Mombasa and drive 2 hours north. One of Kenya's least commercialized stops, very low cost, few crowds. Number 13. Lake Naivasha. Lake Naivasha, a freshwater lake at 1,880 meters elevation in the Great Rift Valley, about 90 kilometers northwest of Nairobi, surrounded by papyrus swamps and acacia woodland, and one of the most consistently beautiful spots in Kenya. Over 400 bird species recorded at the lake: African fish eagles calling from the papyrus fringe, kingfishers working the shallows, herons and cormorants along the rim of the water, pelicans in formation above the surface. The birding here is world-class and accessible. You don't need to go far from the main access points to find it. The hippos are a constant presence, large pods dozing in the shallows by day, moving onto shore to graze at night. Watching them interact, the vocalizations, the size, the unexpected bursts of movement, is funny and slightly terrifying at once. Crescent Island Game Sanctuary runs a walking safari with no equivalent elsewhere on this list. You walk freely through open grassland alongside giraffes, zebras, and wildebeest. No vehicle, no fence, just you and the animals at ground level. A boat safari at golden hour, with Mount Longonot volcano on the southern horizon, is one of those quiet moments that ends up being the one you describe longest when you get home. You arrive budgeting 2 hours, you leave 2 days later wondering what happened. Year-round, though, avoid April and May for heavy rains. 1.5 to 2 hours from Nairobi on the A104, easy overnight or even a day trip. Campsites from $10, guest houses from $30 to $80. Crescent Island Walking Safari runs $20 per person, one of the best value wildlife experiences in Kenya, full stop. Combined with Hell's Gate National Park 20 minutes away, you can cycle through gorges alongside zebras for about $15. That combination in one day is exceptional value. Number 14. 14 Falls. On the Athi River near Thika, about 90 minutes from Nairobi, 14 separate waterfalls cascade down in one continuous sequence. Not one dramatic drop. 14. One after another, the river splitting and falling and regrouping and falling again, stretching across several hundred meters of the Athi River. The sound reaches you before the view does, a low, constant roar that builds as you approach and doesn't let up until you're standing at the viewing point with mist on your face. A guided boat ride takes you upstream to the base, close enough that conversation becomes impossible and you're just sitting there, wet and grinning. The riverbanks are thick with fever trees, fig trees, and papyrus. Malachite kingfishers, pied kingfishers, African darters, giant kingfishers, all working the water. If you're a birder, block the entire afternoon. What strikes me most about 14 Falls isn't any single feature, it's the atmosphere. The surrounding greenery, the constant white noise, the way time stretches out differently when you're there. It feels untouched because it largely is. Kenyan families have come here for generations. It's a local spot, a real spot, a place people actually go rather than perform going. Most international visitors still haven't found it, and that gap is closing faster than you think. That's exactly why it's last on this list. Go now, before everyone else catches on. April through June for the highest water volume after the long rains. Most dramatic falls, but honestly, worth the visit year-round. 90 minutes from Nairobi via Thika Road. Easy half-day trip. Entry runs about $5. Boat rides $3 to $5. Go on a weekday. Weekends bring local crowds and it gets busy. Early morning for the best light and the quietest experience. Combine with a drive through Thika town for a local lunch, and you've got a full, cheap, genuinely memorable day from Nairobi. Real talk for a second. Every Kenya travel video you'll find covers the same 3 or 4 stops. Masai Mara, Nairobi, maybe Diani. A few throw in Amboseli. Those places are incredible. We covered them. They earn their spot. But there's a whole layer of Kenya that almost no travel content goes deep enough to find. The Taita Hills, Loitoktok, 14 Falls, what Laikipia actually represents at a conservation level, and the tips, the timing, the real logistics of getting between these places without a $15,000 package tour. That's the work we do here at Top Tier Travels. The season breakdowns, the budget realities, the routes we've actually walked, the spots that haven't been overrun yet, and the specific timing to get there before they are. Nobody's handing all of that out everywhere. We are, right here, every single drop. All right, I need to hear from you. Out of 14 places, which one are you putting first on your Kenya list, and why that one specifically? Bonus round, which spot from this list had you never heard of before today? Drop that in the comments too. I read every single one, and the more specific the better. If this one hit, go watch the video where I visited Australia's 8 most insane wonders. Same energy, an entirely different continent, landscapes that look even less real on camera than Kenya's do. Links right up top and in the description. And if you want more of this, full country breakdowns, hidden gems, ranking videos, real planning details, places almost no one is putting on lists yet, we're dropping content multiple times a week. Hit that like button, it helps more than you'd think. Subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm Finn Lee, this has been Top Tier Travels. Go pack a bag. See you tomorrow.